Okay, so this is the third part of the elasticity. So far we have discussed the elasticity of demand and elasticity of supply. In this video we are going to look at some examples, real life examples, to understand the elasticity much better. Okay, so sadly slavery still exists in the country Sudan, and to eliminate this problem from the society, two Harvard students, two sophomore students, they basically raise the money and bring it to the Sudan market to redeem the slaves, and free them. So they are doing really good job. So we are trying to analyze uh, the effectiveness of such programs. We normally call such programs as buyback programs. So here we'll analyze how effective those programs are. So when they enter the market of Sudan with the money, they basically increase the demand in the market, demand for slaves, because they are going to buy the slaves. So this will increase the price, okay? And this will also increase the quantity of supplied in the market because the trade owners will try to increase the supply, okay? Whenever there is a decrease in quantity in the market, quantity of slaves. So let's analyze the situation. Let me draw the graph first. And the horizontal we have quantity of slaves. In the vertical we have price of slaves. This is the original demand curve. And this is the demand curve, aggregate demand curve. This demand curve is obtained by the combination of two demand curves because we know that those students are going to increase the demand in the market, okay? And there is original demand in the market already. So combination of those two demands will create the aggregate demand, okay? And suppose the supply curve is perfectly inelastic, which means no matter how much price changes, quantity of supplied is not gonna change, okay? So inelastic, perfectly inelastic means it will be vertical curve. So this point is our original equilibrium point. Let's say this is A and the price is 15. Quantity is, let's say, 1000. Okay, and this is our next equilibrium. Let's say this is B, this point is C. Okay, and this is $50. Let's say the quantity at this point is 200. Now what does this line represents? The distance between two demand curves, the horizontal distance between two demand curves. So this represents the increase in demand by those students when they enter the market, okay? Because the white line curve, demand curve, is the original demand curve, and the red demand curve is the aggregate demand curve. So the horizontal distance between them is the demand increased by those students because they are going to uh, buy the slaves from the market and free them, okay? So now my question is, how many slaves they are going to free from the from the market? So this is the amount of slaves that is going to be traded in the market, right? Because this is the aggregate demand curve and this is the supply. So this is the amount that is going to be traded in the market, which is 1000. And this quantity 200 is going to be remained in the market. That is, though this number of slaves will be in the captive, okay, in the market. So what is the amount of slaves that are freed from the market? So that is 1000 minus 200, right, which is 800. So there is 80% decrease in the number of slaves from in the market, right, which is really good, which is phenomenal. Okay, so this program is effective in this case. Now now suppose the supply curve is elastic. Okay, so let's draw the another graph. Again we have two demand curve. Only the supply curve is going to change. And this is quantity of slaves, this is price of slaves, and now this time the supply curve is going to be elastic. Why this is elastic? Because you know there is the y-intercept. Okay, so whenever there is the y-intercept, supply curve is elastic. Please remember this. And we have seen this in the previous video as well, so if you have forgotten, you may go back to the previous videos and watch it again. Okay, so this is our original equilibrium. Let's say this point is A, and price is 15, quantity is 1000, and this is the next equilibrium. Okay, let's say this is 2000 and price is $30. Okay, so now again you can see here that there is increase in demand by those students when they enter the market, and there is increase in the supply as well, you know. So the increase in supply is simply the difference between these two, which is 1000. So supply has increased by 1000. Okay, so those slave owners increase the supply by 1000. So now my question is, what is the amount of what is the number of slaves which are freed from the market? Okay, so let's say this quantity is simply 600. Okay, so the total number of slaves, total number of freed slaves from the market is simply the difference between these two, right? Okay, this two number, which is 2000 minus 600. So that's the total number of freed slaves from the market. So which is 2000 minus 600, which is 1400. Okay, although this time the percentage of freed slaves is slightly lower than the previous case, but this is also a descent, you know. So the buyback program is still effective. So now what is the number of slaves held in captivity with the buyback program? Okay, so 600 is the number of slaves still in the captivity. Now let's look at the impact of increase in demand in the short run and long run. Okay, so the short run and long run impact of an increase in demand. Increase in demand. Let me draw the graph. So this is, let's say this is long run supply curve, long run, and this is short run supply curve. Okay, and this is our demand curve. All right, so let's say this is D1. So now you may ask, why the short run and the long run supply curve have passed through the same point, why they have the common point. So it is because we need to maintain the stability in the beginning, right? Otherwise, if we pass them from the different points, there will be changes in the analysis. So that's why I've considered the equilibrium in the short run and the long run in the beginning. So now let's increase the demand. So the demand curve will shift to the right. Okay, so let's say this is D2. Now you can see here, initially it was the price, the equilibrium, and this was the quantity. Okay, and after increase in demand, and this is the price and quantity in the short run, and this is the price and quantity in the long run. Okay, so in the short run, price has increased a lot than the quantity, and in the long run, price compared to the short run, price has not increased that much. Okay, but the quantity has increased. Now what if the demand curve were more elastic? Okay, so if the demand curve were more elastic, there will be a lower impact on the price, right? Because it will be more flatter, and whenever the curve is more flatter, there will be less increase in the price but more increase in the quantity. Okay, so an increase in the demand will have a lower impact on the market price when the supply is more elastic. Okay, and increase in the demand will have a lower impact on the market price when the demand is more elastic. Okay, so even if the supply or the demand is more elastic, there will be lesser increase in the price than the quantity. Okay, now we have two prediction formula for the price changes. So we have quick prediction formulas, and you need to remember these formulas because this formula will be very useful while solving some questions of price changes when there is change in the demand uh, and change in the supply, and also there will be given the elasticity of demand and elasticity of supply. Okay, so percentage change in price from a shift in demand is equals to percentage change in demand divided by absolute elasticity of demand, because we know the elasticity of demand is negative, plus elasticity of supply. And another formula is percentage change in price from a shift in supply is equals to minus percentage change in supply divided by absolute of elasticity of demand plus elasticity of supply. So these are the two formulas for the quick predictions. Please remember those formulas. And in the coming videos, we'll do a lot of problems of elasticity, and I'll show you the calculations using these formulas. Okay, so for this video, I'll stop here. So we covered quick prediction formulas, and we covered one example, you know. Okay, and we also looked at the short run and long run impact with an increase in demand. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.